Okay. The research in dogs started almost by accident. I got a phone call from Allison and Paul Fraze. Their son had a condition, myotubular myopathy, a rare muscular condition that causes premature death. And they had learned of a potential lead on an animal model, a dog, that may have the same mutation or disease that their son had, and understood the importance of large animals in accelerating the movement of a preclinical study to human application.
We've been funding research for about 21 years. About 12 years after research had started, we knew we had to find a large animal model.
Myotubular myopathy is a rare neuromuscular disease that affects baby boys. The disease is caused by a defect in a gene called MTM1. As a result, the patients are born very, very weak. In fact, they're considered floppy infants. They're so weak that the muscles that enable a patient to breathe properly don't function. And as a consequence, these patients, half of them don't survive to their first birthday.
We were blessed to find this naturally occurring, replicated, MTM genetic disorder in a canine model. We found a lady dog by the name of Nibs up in Canada. And my wife actually got on a plane in 2008, in December, and went up to Canada and brought that dog back.
How miraculous it was that Allison found this dog that was affected, because it was by happenstance. There's not a systematic way to identify new diseases and bring animal models to investigators.
This particular breed, they're Labrador retriever dogs, carry a genetic disease that affects male puppies. Through the history and through some really great detective work on behalf of Allison and some veterinarians in Canada, they tracked down what they believed to be a relative of a dog who'd had some litters of pups with affected males that perished because of muscle weakness. And so it was more of a hunch, I think, than anything.
Think about every dog you've ever known. They're kind of over-engineered when it comes to their speed and ability to, their cardiovascular capacity. So the dogs are mostly normal when they're born, but by 10 weeks of age, they're pretty sick. So they've lost diaphragm strength and other skeletal muscle strength that helps them breathe. And they're always at risk of spontaneously just stopping breathing. And they've also lost strength in their jaw muscles as well, so they have trouble feeding themselves, which leads to weight loss, and it kind of just spirals downward from there.
Some of the best research in the world is ongoing here, and we're excited to be a part of it.
We happen to be able to receive a test article of a gene therapy that had worked in mice from our colleagues in Paris. And the first thing that we did is we injected a test dose into a small muscle of the hind limb in 3 dogs. And what we wanted to see is if the gene therapy would provide copies of the normal gene that we could find on sort of biochemical analysis by examining the muscle after injection. But because we were muscle physiologists, we also measured strength at the time prior to the injection. And after 2 weeks, the strength in the left leg was twice that of the right leg. And my colleague, he and I looked at each other and I thought, something's wrong here. The equipment there's a twofold error. So we took everything apart and redid the experiment and came up with the same result. So that was the first indication that there's something really powerful happening in these muscles.
We lost Joshua 41 days before his 16th birthday in 2010. Obviously, our goal has been to find a cure, find a therapy for these kids, kids like our son Joshua. These dogs, these animals give us hope.
Oh, good boy.